Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Laker family. I'm going to get into a list that the NBA and some of the top experts put out earlier this week. I wanted to cover that because the list was kind of ridiculous to say the least. It wasn't as bad as some of the lists in the recent memory. Bleacher Report, where they just completely spit on Kobe, taking him out of the top 10 and all, things like that. This new list, it still brought up a lot of uproar, a lot of debating, people arguing, fighting amongst each others. But I want to give y'all my honest opinion on everything and even talk about some of the blasphemous statements that some of the top analysts were saying about this list. More on that next on Laker Family. So, guys, the list that they put up for the top 10, they were doing it like 3 days in a row. They were doing from top 100, and they split it up over 3 days. And as they were revealing it, I could already see that the list was headed for some type of disaster. Just some of the players that weren't mentioned, and some of the players that they put in front of other players that had no business being there. Just a complete a travesty of the thought process that went into this list. I don't know who is responsible for this list, and I don't know what type of complete metric system they say they're taking everything into account as far as like MVPs, regular season MVP awards, finals MVPs, stats, things like that. But I have to tell y'all this, even with all that being said, there's still no perfect way, there's no perfect metric system to suggest who is better than who. A lot of this stuff is really all subjective. Everything is subjective, especially when you start adding context to it. A lot of people like to jump straight to a stat sheet to prove who's better than who. And I'm sorry to tell you, that does not work. It doesn't work that way. If you did it that way, there's a lot of players that's not even deserving of being in the top 30 or 40 that would jump ahead of the player that you're mentioning or jumping straight to a stat sheet about. So you can't strictly just go off of that. As well as regular season MVPs. That has become so much of a political award to the point to where it's utterly ridiculous. Such as they gave it to like for instance, when they gave it to Russell Westbrook when he finished like the 7th seed with the Thunder, and he got like that triple double. I think it was the first time, his first triple double season. But the same way they gave it, they justified giving it to him. They didn't justify giving it to Kobe. That 06 season where he averaged 35 points and dragged ragdolls, Smush Parker and all, to a 7th seed in the playoffs and pushed the Suns to 7 games. I think he finished like 4th that year. So you see the blasphemy and the political aspect of how far these MVP awards have gotten, that it's got to the point where you can't even really take them seriously. Maybe back in the 90s, before that, you could take them more seriously, but no. Once Steve Nash ended up with 2 MVPs and Shaq and Kobe only ended up with 1 apiece, how can you justifiably go about judging players off of regular season MVPs after that? So And final MVPs are also flawed as well, to a certain degree. To a certain degree, because it does mean a lot that if you're like the best player on a championship team, and you're the main reason why they pull it out. But at the same time, if you have somebody like another superstar on your team, it shouldn't you shouldn't knock that other player or subtract from his legacy just because he didn't bring home the Finals MVP. That really isn't fair, and that's a subject that people like to knock against Kobe. Uh, in the finals with Shaq, they like to discount all the higher averages Kobe had to help get them to the championship, but they knock him for Shaq winning the Finals MVP. When in all reality, any other superstar, whether it was Duncan, LeBron, even Jordan, if they had played with Shaq during Shaq's prime years, they would have to force feed Shaq. There ain't no ifs and buts about it, especially in that era, that 2003 era on down in the 90s. If you had a close to a dominant big man, especially like offensive scoring big man, you had to run your offense through them first. If Michael Jordan had to play with somebody like Hakeem Olajuwon, he would have had to run a lot of the offense to Hakeem first, and nobody would have a problem with that because Hakeem was a beast. They wouldn't have no problem with Hakeem being the first option, and Jordan getting his here and there. So I don't like when people use that type of argument. Now I'm gonna put up the list first from what they put up, and then I'm going to get into my top 10, which I hate to do because there are a lot of sensitive fans out there that worship one player to like he's Jesus, and you can't critique them any way or shape or form, or they'll ban you or whatever it is. But I'm more of Team Lakers more than worshiping a single player. Yes, I can like a player more than another player, but I'm all about this first. So let's get right into it with the media's top 10. Jordan, they had a number one. No problem with that. No disputing that. It's hands down. There's no argument here. There's no me jumping out in the uproar. Kobe or LeBron, whoever they deserve it over. There's no argument for that. 6-0 in the finals speaks for itself. The level of consistency, the level of winning, the killer mentality, and basically him taking out every other superstar in the area. No matter how good of a superstar you were during the Jordan era, he took you out. He took you out. He beat you point blank. If he lost to you like the Pistons or somebody like that, when they were younger, when the Bulls were younger, he eventually overcame it and beat you. So at some point, like when he first started winning those championships, he didn't look back. Like after that, nobody else had a chance. It goes to Jordan, no dispute there. Number 2, LeBron. I have no problem with that, and I'm going to get into my list next. LeBron, to me, he holds the Iron Man award, and that is like I've never seen a player play this long, this effective into their career like LeBron has, and to me, that speaks volumes more than any other feat that he may have accomplished, and more than anything that lifer LeBron fans try to come at me on. I can take logic versus somebody trying to come at me and give up, tell me all these different facts about LeBron. but they're tearing down other players while doing it. That's what I can't take. I don't mind LeBron being number two because, first of all, he's a Laker. I want any Laker, whether it was Shaq, Magic, or Kobe, to at least be in that be holding down the number two spot. Nobody's getting the number one spot, so at least we want a Laker in that number two spot. But the arguments, the silly arguments that I hear people try to uh, tear down other players for to bring up LeBron, that's what I don't like. And I could easily come back with you with a great debate, great facts. Basically, you have to come correct and with actual facts when you come to me about debating something. Because I do my homework, I've studied the game, I've watched the game, I go up, I test, I factor in everything. So you have to come correct when you try to come with bull about a player, and also trying to tear down other players. Because I can come right back with you with just 100% facts on things. Okay, we have at number 3. We have Kareem. I don't have a lot of problem with that. That's not bad at all. Kareem deserves a lot of praise, and I feel like some of the older big men, they are harder to judge than newer, recent more players, because the level of play back then is, some of us, we really don't know, and the fact that it just, I don't know, we don't, there's not a lot of names that just pop up in your head as far as like complete true rivals to those big men back. You might can name 2 or 3 people, but you can't name many big rivals to those guys back then. So they're very hard to judge when putting them in a top 10 list. 4, they had Bill Russell. That's the same thing what I was just talking about. The main thing that I ever see on TV really is guys point like guards dribbling around with one hand like this back then, and I'm like, really, is that what we're gonna praise Bill Russell for? He won in an era like that. Wilt came on a little bit later after Bill Russell, and they had some battles, but still, if you can name me 4 or 5 players that could have really challenged Bill Russell, with a decent team that could have challenged Bill Russell back then, I might can give you that. But once somebody told me that a lot of those guys back then they had regular day jobs. They had actual day jobs. Like they would go play the game and then go back to their day jobs, whether they were plumbers, doctors, or whatever the case may be. That in itself shows the level of comp compared to the 90s or today. So that's very hard to judge. And I'll tell you why I would rank Russell because of that in a second. Number 5, Magic Johnson. Okay, that's okay. Number 6, Wilt. Not ahead of Kobe, not ahead of Duncan and me. And with him and Shaq is debatable, and I'll tell you my reasons why on that later. They had number 7, Larry Bird, and no, sorry, not better than Kobe. Sorry. Number 8, Duncan. Sorry, not better than Kobe. And I already did a video on that. Y'all can check that out. I did a Kobe versus Duncan debate like about maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and I already explained 100 reasons why Duncan is not better than Kobe. And you can make all the cases you want about saying, oh, Duncan won the MVP, leading his team. But then that goes back to the argument that I said, you're trying to knock Kobe for not winning an MVP with Shaq, But if you were to put Duncan on that same team with Shaq, replace Kobe with Duncan and put Duncan on that team with Shaq, would Duncan have won MVP at all? No, he would not. Not during Shaq's peak years. He wouldn't have got no Finals MVP. He wouldn't have got no regular season MVP. He wouldn't even be known as the best player on that team. Point blank. Period. So stop with the knocks. And he also had a great system that continued to last after he retired, and he stayed with consistent support around him. So I go further into that on my video. They had number 9, Kobe. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'm not at least happy that they put him in the top 10 this time, because they normally just spit, walk all over him, and, get in the truck and back over him. That's how bad they have been doing him in recent memory. Not even putting him in the top 10. Putting players like Stephen Curry over him. If you want to run over somebody and back over him 2 or 3 times, that's what they were doing. So I guess after Kobe's passing and his little his little cameo in the Last Dance docu-series or whatever, it kind of opened up people's eyes a little bit of trying to remember how great of a player he was, because it just seems like they want to just wither him away, slowly wither him away, like he was nothing. The Kobe disrespect has to stop. I done seen all the Michael Jordan memes out there, trying to make fun of Kobe fans, saying they're crying because he got put at 9. Well, to be honest with you, it's not just Kobe fans that believes that he deserves to be top 3, top 4, because there's repeated player after player that had to guard Kobe, and not just guard Kobe. They had to guard other greats like either Jordan, LeBron, T-Mac, Iverson, whoever it is, and they repeatedly keep telling you how great of a player Kobe was and how truly tough it was to guard him. Bruce Bowen was on TV yesterday, and finally somebody put respect on Kobe's name. He plays Kobe second all time. Now I'm going to tell you my list, and I'm going to tell you why that's debatable. But the fact that Bruce Bowen, who got completely torched and was a Spurs, he was a Spurs head all through and then he put Kobe Bryant number 2, way ahead of Tim Duncan. I think he had Tim Duncan number 5 or 6 on his list or something like that. I'll put it up right here for you guys to see Bruce Bowen's list. But the fact that he rated Kobe that much higher on Tim Duncan as a lifer, great role player for the Spurs, that should stop all the god doggone debate right there about Tim Duncan, all this other bull crap. So you can call Kobe fans delusional or whatever it is. No, y'all just want to forget and then elevate y'all player and just keep bashing Kobe. That's all that's happening. And we can't let that happen. They had Shaq number 10. I don't have a complete problem with that. Shaq had some great moments. He also had some bad, ugly kind of moments. Now, Stephen A. kind of irked me again, and I hate to keep picking at Stephen A. because he does say some good things, but he also says some blasphemous things as well. He said he believed Kobe at 9 was justifiable, and that's where he deserves to be. But if you listen to this, the intro of this Lil Wayne Kobe Bryant song right here, I beg to differ that he believed otherwise.
He's the best player in the game. It's just that simple. There's nothing that Kobe Bryant can't do. He will defend your best player. He will shoot from the perimeter. He will get all in your mug. He will do whatever it takes. He is the most complete basketball player in the game today, bar none.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. The same people that was praising Kobe, calling him the best player in the league for years. It wasn't just 1 year or 2 years. They was calling Kobe Bryant the best player in the league for years. But now all of a sudden, oh, they forgot. Like what Allen Iverson said when they interviewed him not too long ago. People, they just want to skip people over Kobe like it's nothing. What did they forget? This was out of AI's mouth. You know, somebody that lost to Kobe and Shaq in the finals. So, I mean, how many more NBA players do we have to hear bring up Kobe before we start believing the hype? Or are we going to continue to listen to dumb nuts or statistical nerds in the media, Nick Wright, completely keep tearing down Kobe, tearing down, and after a while, he gonna be top 20. At this rate, I wouldn't be surprised next year they put him on as number 20. Let's elevate Kawhi Leonard or somebody or some bull crap over Kobe. Let's put Kobe 20 now. I wouldn't be surprised. These are words out of what the top defenders: Tony Allen, Ron Artest, even Raja Bell, the same guy that choke slammed Kobe in a playoff series. The same guy that choke slammed Kobe in a playoff series has Kobe rated extremely high. Extremely high. I think he had him top 2, top 3, something like that. I can't remember. So I want to get to my list. And before I get into my list, I don't want anybody to be getting butthurt or trying to fight me all over the, I know how sensitive some people can get, but I mean, let's keep the debates clean. If you feel I'm wrong, feel free to comment below and give me your honest opinion. But in doing that, just give me some great facts behind it, some great context behind it. Okay, and also right before I get into it, I want to say that, like I said before, everything is not perfect. You can't go to a stat sheet like some of these statistical nerds do, analytics. Oh, well, this person averaged 2.557% more field goal percentage, so that must mean he's better than such and such. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. My top list goes as such. Jordan, number 1, and I already told y'all my reasons why. Number 2, I feel is interchangeable with Kobe and LeBron. And here's my reasoning behind that. You can make a strong case for both of them without tearing down the other. I feel like legacy in there is great on both parts. I feel like winning in there is great on both parts. I feel leadership is big on both parts. There's a lot of things that can be greatness that can be said about both. So if Kobe, like lifer Kobe fans come to me trying to knock LeBron about something, I can easily come back and point out some of the flaws that Kobe had compared to LeBron. If LeBron lifer fans came to me trying to bash Kobe about some failure here or there, I can combat you on a failure here or there with LeBron. It's just that plain and simple. I don't know no other way to put it. Second of all, they are two different players. Two different type of positions as well. Shooting guard versus a small forward. So if you come to me talking about LeBron averaged 1,000 more assists than Kobe, or 1,000 more rebounds than Kobe, first of all, Kobe is a shooting guard. That's almost sound dumb as comparing Shaq to Iverson as far as rebounds. Well, Shaq had 30,000 more rebounds than Iverson. Durr. They play different positions. Look at the size difference. So that's why I say when some people try to come to me with dumb arguments like that, I don't listen to it, because I can come up with a better supportive argument for, let's say, for LeBron than that. Oh, Kobe has Shaq. Well, LeBron played with the Heat, with two great Hall of Famers, with Bosh and Wade and those boys. He played with a great supporting cast with Kyrie Irving and Love. You're discounting and disrespecting the players that LeBron had by just throwing one player, which is Shaq. That was a duo. They had great role players around them. It wasn't considered a super team. It was considered as a top duo with great role players around. So that would be equivalent to a three-player super team, like the Boston with KG and them, and LeBron with Wade and them, and the Warriors with KD and Steph and Clay. Because Shaq was so dominant, he could have almost taken up the impact of a Curry and Clay, and then Kobe would have to take up the scoring slack for like a Durant, per se. And Shaq said some things about that. Him and Draymond got into it like a day or so ago about that, which was fun. But I could do another video about that another day. But the point is, let's stop tearing down the other player to build up another one. You don't have to say LeBron's better than Kobe on this, so Kobe's got to get pushed down tonight. Or Kobe's better than LeBron on this, so LeBron's get pushed down tonight. It shouldn't be that way. That's where I stand on that. So if you want to comment me more on that, I can further explain to you that in the comment section, because I have to get to the rest of the list. Okay, we have number 4. I'm skipping to number 4 because basically you can flip flop Kobe or LeBron with 2 and 3. Number 4, I have Kareem, and that should be no dispute there. His accolades speaks for himself, and I feel like he gets slighted a lot. But he unlike Russell and Wilt, Kareem played closer towards when the league was getting a bit more parity, and you had more notable players that Kareem went against versus the level of competition Wood and Russell had to go against. So Kareem deserves a bit more credit in that aspect to me, and he still was dominant. Number 5, Magic. Enough said right there in his name. Magic. He was simply Magic. Unlike any other player that came before him, he helped revolutionize the point guard spot. And he did it in spectacular fashion. Brought the league back. That impact his legacy as well. The way he was able to help bring the league back to relevancy. Him and Bird. But that just speaks for itself. Number 6, Bird. Now, with Bird, the reason why I dropped him to 6 behind Kobe, because even though he was a good player, a great player, people tend to overrate him a lot. And the reason why I say that is because once people started saying that Bird was better than LeBron, that's a bit much. For one, Bird had a great team around him up until when he got injured. His career got cut short because of back injuries, but he had Kevin McHale, Parrish, all those guys that the people tend to forget and discount. Kevin McHale was a hell of a player, but he gets discredited for some reason, like he wasn't even there. It was Bird, Larry Bird. Okay, but he had great support. They was not considered one of the top teams of all time just because of Larry Bird. They was considered one of the top teams of all time because of the supporting the players around them. That whole team was great. So stop making it seem like Larry Bird was carrying bums to the finals every year. He wasn't. And secondly, they try to put him above Kobe. Like, first of all, he averaged more rebounds, more assists. That goes back to the argument I said. First of all, would you say Stockton is a better player than Magic Johnson just because Stockton owns the assist record? Hell no. That's why I say people go overboard with this analytical statistic stuff and MVPs. Just because Steve Nash had 2 MVPs, he was the overall better player than Kobe? No. That's why I say regular season MVPs is becoming overrated. And you can't just judge greatness and people's legacies off of that. Also, people don't take into the account when they're looking at a statistic sheet, they don't take into account if players play years through injuries, like what Kobe had to do post his Achilles tear. His numbers took a severe hit. So to sit there and look at a field goal percentage drop because of that is completely just not fair. It's not fair. In order to tear him down or bring up another player. Bird, in my opinion, deserves a lot of credit, but to me, he gets overhyped. He is a great, phenomenal player. I'm not taking nothing away from him. Him and Magic Johnson were responsible for reviving the league. But his defense was not better than Kobe. His scoring was not better than Kobe. He could not drag bums like the way Kobe did, or LeBron. And LeBron, to me, he's probably the best player I've ever seen as far as being able to drag, to do more with less, per se. I've seen Kobe do it, during his down year with some of the bad teams, but I've seen LeBron do it a little bit longer, like dragging bums. Even though it was in the East, the level of trash he had on his team, it still was impressive, for him being able to do that. So we haven't seen Jordan or anybody else like that be able to do that because because Jordan's team he mainly always had great help. So we weren't able to see Jordan carry bums to a finals. So 7. I got Duncan. His career should be respected, but like I say, he benefited from a lot of consistency from the system of Greg Popovich, the great GM work, and I don't hate Tim Duncan at all. I have much love and respect for Tim Duncan. He's a great fundamental, but for people to keep overrating him, putting him above Kobe, that's just disrespectful. That's very disrespectful. So I believe he deserves number 7, and he had a longer lasting. The thing I could give Duncan over other people though is that his whatever the circumstances is, he did have the most consistency out of a lot of the great players. So that's why he deserves number 7. Number 8, Russell. And I have number 9, Shaq. And number 10, Wilt. Shaq and Wilt both suffer from the same thing. They could have been easily higher, could have been number 4, even number 3 or something on this list. But as dominant as they were, they could have been even more dominant. And that's the crazy thing about it. That's the knock against them. The fact that they could have been more dominant is the knock. And the failure to do more with their dominancy is what hurt them. So Wilt shouldn't have Wilt, as dominant as Wilt was, he shouldn't have had lost that many times to a Bill Russell. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Had to answer the door. But yeah, the same thing goes with Shaq. I feel like he could have done more with his dominancy. The 90s, he had chances with that Magic team to break through and finally be the ones to, win a championship. But, they came up short against Jordan. They came up short against Hakeem, where Shaq just got completely outclassed by Hakeem. Also, Shaq didn't start winning any rings until he got with Phil and got Kobe Bryant. And people still try to discount Kobe Bryant about. And then post Lakers, he won only one ring, and that was with Dwayne Wade that carried him. So, yeah, he could have done more. And like Kobe was trying to tell him, if he would have just trained even harder, the guy could have been up there with the Jordans, but he kind of knocked himself down to that ninth spot. So it's a tad disappointing because he was a Laker, and I would love to have seen Shaq stay with Kobe and Shaq take his body more seriously for them to be able to pull out more rings together. But with that being said, I think I rambled on enough. I got to go and cut this video. Cut it short because I've been rambling basically. Let me know y'all thoughts on my list, on the people's list that I just pointed out to you, the Stephen A list or Roger or whoever, and then also let me know y'all top 10 and give me y'all reasons on why. Give me good reasons on it, and we can have us some friendly debate, talk about it. So I think that's all I have for today, and I'll see y'all next time. And it also looks like we're getting some great updates coming in too about the league possibly returning. So let's keep our fingers crossed for that and hope for the best. We need the Lakers to bring home this next championship. So I'll see y'all next time, guys. Peace.